Every map has 2 points in common: where you are and where you want to be. Life without direction is like getting into your car to drive somewhere. That's how many people live their lives. It's also how many leaders oversee their areas of responsibility. There's a big difference between managing the things that come at you each day versus taking an active leadership role. Simply stated, if we don't know what we want, we'll consistently get what other people want, or what our circumstances dictate. Without clear direction, our lives become a reaction to what's going on in and around us. We can be driven by people's opinions and expectations, and be slaves to our emotions. This training is designed to help you begin to create your map. Let's start with where you are. Number 1, your current standing in life is a result of all of your previous decisions combined. Some have been good, others bad. Some choices were made consciously. Many more were made unconsciously or by default. In other words, some of your circumstances were set into motion because you didn't act. And as a sidebar, some of your circumstances were set into motion because you acted on autopilot. In some cases, you didn't even know that you should or could act. Number 4, the choices that you made or didn't were based on the perceptions that you had. These perceptions represent the way that you saw yourself and the world. The problem is that none of us sees life as it really is. It would be nice if we did. Instead, we see life through filters of our culture and our interpretation of our past experiences. Growth as a leader is largely about gaining increasingly better perspective. Seeing things that you've never seen before, and seeing old things through new lenses. I'll address this more in future lessons. Right now, I'll say that new perspectives can be very challenging. On the one hand, we battle pride, which causes us to assume that we already know how to do things. On the other hand, we battle time constraints, which pressure us to take the shortest and quickest route possible. This usually ends up being the way that we're already comfortable doing things. To complicate things more, self-perceptions are often not accurate. Sometimes, things only become obvious when we go through situations that are bigger than we are. Challenges have a way of showing us things that we don't know about ourselves. Unfortunately, we all have blind spots. There have been dozens of times in my life where pressure revealed areas of blindness to me. After the fact, I wondered why I couldn't see it before. Our truest selves can be hidden behind inflated images and defense mechanisms. In order to see who we truly are and where we truly are in life, we must have the right heart conditions. To move forward from wherever we are, we must be humble, open, and teachable. It's not easy to maintain a humble, open, and teachable heart. To continue growing as a leader, we need to constantly examine ourselves and adjust ourselves accordingly. Here's a brief story of a personal experience that I had a long time ago that taught me then important messages can be delivered through horrible messengers.
This incident happened many years ago, and it's a great illustration of how we need to separate the message from the messenger. I was at my place of where I worked, and I was there by myself. And a gentleman came in one day. This was somebody that I had had a long history with. But on this particular day, he was very upset with me about something that he had perceived that I had done. And so he came in a very accusatory way. And the situation escalated, but at the same time, because of the history I had with this person, I didn't feel like I should call the police. I didn't feel like I needed to defend myself. And so I just ascertained that the best thing for me to do was just to sit and to let him unload and say what he had to say. And so he went on for quite a while, probably 20-30 minutes, and his voice got very high. He used a lot of very colorful words, and his nonverbal expressions were very aggressive. And at one point he was going like this, and he even tapped me on the end of the nose at one point. When it was all said and done, I did what I always do. Instead of just taking what he said at face value and deciding that I needed to change myself, or I don't want to be I don't want to change just because somebody has a differing opinion of me. Fearless leaders know who they are, and even though they're willing to adapt under the right situations, they don't change just because people say they should. By the same token, I didn't want to miss valuable input that somebody might have for me, and so I always try to just analyze the situation and to digest the message, and I usually do that within the next few days after the incident happened. I try to filter out the good from the bad, and in this situation I'd say that probably 98% of what that person said and did, in my opinion, was in error. But there was that 2% that was just that nugget of something that I needed to hear, and it wasn't even what I learned. I don't think was even in the exact way that he had expressed it. But I read between the lines, and there was something there that I needed to hear, and I needed to apply it to myself. And as a result, it helped me to grow as a person and as a leader. And so that's just a wonderful example of how we need to separate the message from the messenger. I want you to imagine yourself if, let's say that you wrote a letter to somebody that was very important to you. And through that letter you expressed your heart and things that were of high value to you. And you sent that to the person. But the post person, man or woman, who delivered the message, let's say that the person you sent the message to didn't really connect well with the post person. And who knows? It could have been the way they looked, or it might have been something that they did or something that they said. But for whatever reason, they just didn't like the person that was delivering the message. Well, if they decided never to open the envelope because of that, it would be a great loss. And that's what I learned, that many times there are very important messages of life that are tucked away and even disguised in the most unlikely forms. And sometimes they even come through the delivery of people that are completely wrong. But there's still things that we need to hear. And so that was a valuable lesson that I learned that day, that we need to separate the message from the messenger.
So our starting point is a humble, open, and teachable heart. From this vantage point, we can begin to get an accurate picture of where we are. Through the remainder of this lesson, we'll discuss things to consider as you determine where you want to go, including an overview of fearless leadership, the truth of your identity, your capacity to believe in what's possible, and a better form of productivity. We'll talk about the importance of starting at the end of your life and planning backwards, and discuss the characteristics of fearless leadership.
Before you race on to the next video, I just want to take a few minutes to encourage you. There's a vacuum in our world today for what I call fearless leaders. On the one hand, there are a lot of leaders who are very skilled in what they do, very results-oriented, who build spectacular things, and they're instrumental in initiating great change. And yet when you look at those people foundationally, there are character issues that are missing in their life. Perhaps it's a dishonesty issue, or maybe they have a relational breakdown with their employees or with their family members, or it could be other areas of integrity. I would not consider that person to be a fearless leader, even though they've done many things that appear to be successful. On the other hand, you might have somebody that has, spotless character, integrity, who lacks in the area of competency. Perhaps they're not as professional as they should be, or maybe they just lack that extra sense of excellence that makes everything that they do go over the top. Maybe they need to learn more and gain more knowledge and understanding, or maybe they need to polish their skills. But when it's all said and done, I wouldn't consider that person to be a fearless leader, at least in that area of expertise. So we need fearless leaders today, and they are people of both competency and character. I don't know where you are on your journey right now, but I'm really glad that you've followed me this far. I believe that it's worthwhile to develop yourself as a leader and to become a person who knows how to raise up other fearless leaders. But leadership development is not always an easy road to follow. There can be many bumps in the road and many unexpected turns. And to be honest, at times it can be a very lonely journey. I wish that I would have had somebody to walk alongside me in my earlier days of leadership. It really would have made a difference. And that's exactly what I want to do with you. Right now I want to encourage you to set aside some undivided time where you can be alone. Maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes. If you can't do it right now, then block off some time later on when you can. But I want to ask you a very, very important question, and I want you to really search your soul for the answer to this question. The question simply is, where are you? Where are you? I'm not talking about in terms of physicality. I'm talking about where are you as a person in your personal development, and where are you as a leader? I'd like you to ponder this question, and I'd like you to spend some time journaling. And as you do that, think about the things that we've discussed about in this video. What has stirred within your heart? What are the areas you feel like you're doing really well at, and what are the areas where you feel like you could improve? So take some time and think about those things, write down your answers, and I'll see you in the next video.